Hello, my name is Falco, and I like to talk about stuff. These videos are my personal opinion to serve as commentary and journal of the crazy world we live in. I do not mean to offend your feelings, as this is just my point of view. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy. Today's topic is when the Taliban vows to uphold women's rights, and the Supreme Court of the United States of America and Texas removing the right to choose from women. However, let's start with Brexit. Really, the food shortages in the United Kingdom, as the situation with Brexit is getting worse, as it seems like a lot of people did not realize that Britain, or the United Kingdom, has been importing food for over 200 years, mostly from Europe. And by doing a hard leave of the Union with no real deal in place, it just creates a massive situation where if you don't have the lorry drivers, the truck drivers to actually bring you the food, and you don't really have anything to transport back to Europe, how do you expect food to come back in? You now have to buy it from other places, but you still haven't actually created most of those free trade deals you thought you immediately get when you're getting out of the Union. Whereby the ones that Britain actually, or the United Kingdom has gotten, are mostly copycats of already pre-existing European deals. So, I mean, if we wouldn't be in this crazy situation with, the pandemic, then I would assume Brexit by itself would take down most of the financial markets in Britain. But it doesn't seem to really recognize with most people, other than who are connected to it. Certainly doesn't show up much on Canadian or US TV or newspapers. So I find it fascinating that this is such a rather massive situation where Britain could seriously, possibly, people in Britain could look at food rationing sometime soon. If the situation gets much worse, then what could possibly happen there? So I'm just hoping that people come together and realize that together is stronger than apart. But what it really shown is, the impotency of the European Union, and continues to show the impotency of the European Union. As in the situation with Afghanistan, the moment the US moved out of Afghanistan, the European Union had to go too, because they did not have a strike force or some kind of capacity to put their will down. And that doesn't sit too well with a lot of people in the old countries. They don't feel very capable at the moment. And after 4 years of Trump, they are kind of worried, I believe. They certainly don't seem to be trust Britain or the United States that they're going to come to their aid. So, I mean, they announced today that they will create a 5,000 strong strike force, but frankly, I expected more. Quite frankly, I mean, 5,000 fighting soldiers and all the logistics behind it. Okay, I would understand that, I would see that, but we seem to talk about, well, like band-aid situation once again, and eventually, this is just going to create more of a rise of people feeling unhappy about desertization. Well, as a born and raised German, I can tell you that, I mean, the army wasn't everybody's best friend. Certainly wasn't looked upon as a thing people wanted to have, necessarily. But if you can't enforce your rules or the agreements, then what are you doing? How do you do it? I moved to Canada many, many moons ago, uh, and kind of became a Canadian. But, you know, one of the things a lot of people don't know is Canada has, well, Mr. Trudeau has decided to call an election. Prematurely, one must say. Literally a little bit early. And did we really need it right now? Well, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and it really seemed more like he wanted to use his political clout and political gains to, by going to the polls, really getting a stronger position inside the House, inside the Parliament. And with that, really, it was a purely and only motivated by essentially trying to political views or political ambitions. What I find rather frustrating, because we really didn't need that right now. I think as Canadians, we should have tried to get together and work together, but there seems to be a growing content with desertization, and once again, it seemed like we are rather more willing to open up than finish up. The game ain't done until it's finished, and ain't finished. But the big topic really this election cycle isn't the pandemic, isn't Afghanistan, isn't Trudeau's policies, it's real estate once again. That Canadians and most people in Canada cannot afford real estate even if they want to. And if they want to really, really hard, they will sacrifice most of their like either savings or possibilities of savings or all kinds of other things to actually make that money. When you are actually moving into it, it really often ends up making you money because it keeps on going up, up, and up. But most people don't realize that back in the like 80s, late 70s, early 80s, into the 90s, the interest rate of Canada was so extreme. Up to like here in Vancouver, most people paid 7 to 14% interest rate on a mortgage. Now, if they're paying 1 or 3%, they are crying. What happens when the same situation arises as with Mr. Trudeau's father, where the interest rates very much increase after his term? Ever wondered why? So, did Trudeau really try to gamble in a pandemic? Because it seems like that he's trying to take advantage of a situation where he looked like a hero-ish if he would have continued to do his work. But instead of focusing on finishing it up and going all the way, he seemed to just gone off the beacon track and tried to be power hungry. What is sad. What brings us to the main point of this week: women rights. I mean, yes, the Taliban have vowed to uphold women rights under Islamic law, under Sharia law. Yeah, that doesn't really mean much, particularly until they actually show what they do with it. Words are cheap, deeds are hard. So really the question in all of this is, what will they do and what will happen in that region of the world? Nobody really knows, what is going to happen in that area in the world. Nobody knows if it's going to be more stable or more unstable, but it's certainly going to create a situation where a lot of women are forced to do things they probably don't want to do after realizing how much freedom you have. As a person who was born in East Germany and knowing how it is not to have freedoms for the first few years of my life, being allowed to have a choice to choose what you want to do and where you want to do what is a pretty important thing. So I was really, really surprised when Texas pretty much removed the right to choose after the 6th week. What is, if you're not using Plan B pretty much right after, one of your first real moments that you realize as a woman that there's a chance you're pregnant. Could be even later, and you might not want to be in that situation. So my question personally, I mean, I'm not going to get in or argue the constitutionality of this, but my question in this really is, if they say anybody can go to court, and even if this is literally a product of rape or incest, if a rapist goes to court and says she, got an abortion of her or his kid, is he not literally self-incriminating him that he would have gone to make a baby without her consent? Aren't you infringing on federal laws like privacy laws if you're following or checking if somebody has an abortion? Aren't you creating a hell of a lot of absolute trouble and work in the legal field while you're stopping people from doing their business? Have we kind of just flushed down 50 plus years of progress? I mean, I'm not going to go into the argument of, life. That's not what I'm talking about. My question is, how or why are we as a society better than the society that the Taliban creates, when we are basing our decisions on religious belief and not factual grounds? Thank you for watching. Please comment, like, subscribe, and don't forget to set the notification for upcoming videos. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something, and let me know what I can do better. Falco out.